Welcome to the Odyssey of a Former Fat Kid. I'm your host and former fat kid, Bryan Butler, and today I have the opportunity with talking with a good friend of mine, Ashanti Pettaway, who is a counselor at Optimum Joy Counseling here in Chicagoland area. Welcome, Ashanti. How you doing today, man?
Man, I'm good. Glad to be here with my homie. I guess I fall in as a former fat kid too. So, and depending on what day I look in the mirror, I'm like, "Ooh, you got work to do." So I'm better than what I was, but still got some work to do.
The journey continues. The journey
Yes, it does.
continues.
Yes, it does.
Even when the body fat is gone or less, the mentality can hang on, boy.
Yeah, buddy, it was. And if you don't mind, I knew it was an issue when my son recently, my youngest son, in the midst of him and his brother going back and forth, he was like, "Man, that's why you built like your daddy." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Okay." I was like, "That's a sign I need to get back in the gym." That's
That is, I can't. Wow.
yeah,
To find out, like, I need to do some work when
yeah. Your
you
kids will let you
become a
know.
critic. Well, but
Yeah.
to become a criticism. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness,
man.
that's
Yeah. So
wild.
yeah, kid, you gotta love your kids, man. I love them. I love
Oh wow, that reminded me. Recently, my wife was telling me that her and our daughter were looking through some old photos, and
them.
she was like, "Mommy, is this you?" With pictures before the kids were born.
Yeah.
You know, hair done, makeup and stuff like that, whatever. And she was like, "You were prettier back then." And you're like, "Wow."
Wow. And
Just
here's the
matter of
hard
fact,
part. They mean no harm. Like they're
right.
not actually trying.
It
Yeah.
wasn't malicious. It was just like, "Oh, this looks better than you do now." You're kind of like,
Like, oh, okay.
had to bite back the, "I look this way because of you." Nah.
Yeah, right. Uh,
But yeah, man.
yeah.
So part of, I think you are the first mental health professional that I've had
Mm,
the privilege of interviewing. And for those who have been journeying with me for a bit, my approach to this is, kind of holistic health. And
mm-hmm,
so even though, I talk about being a former fat kid, et cetera, that's more focused on weight loss.
mm-hmm.
Um, Health is holistic, and my focus is, our mental, physical, and spiritual health. And so very happy to have you on to chat. Can you tell us, just, give us a little bit about your story,
Yeah.
where you grew up, how you got into counseling, et cetera?
Yeah. Born and raised Cincinnati, Ohio. Everybody thinks I'm from Atlanta because I spent a significant part of my life in Atlanta after graduating high school
Mm-hmm.
from Ohio. I went to Morehouse in Atlanta, GA, the house. It's any of my Morehouse brothers who come through. Uh, but during that time, I wasn't really walking with God, and ended up kind of like I knew God, but wasn't really active in the things of God, and kind of went sideways into some of the typical stuff you get caught up in college life, and then got saved. And like
Mm-hmm.
right in the midst of it, I had like a year and a half of just wilding out, and he just. And from that point on, I just was like all about the Lord, growing in faith, and then transitioned to Chicago in '07. And so basically my journey came to Chicago, went to graduate school, not graduate school, finished my undergrad after being in Gap for like 10 years, then stepped into pastoral ministry. During this whole time, I'm also doing radio,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's right. Yeah.
stepped out of pastoral ministry at my 10-year wedding anniversary. We were on our honeymoon, like 10-year anniversary honeymoon, like
Mm-hmm.
really living it up, and had a moment where the Lord, through some prayer time with my wife, she came up to me and was like, "Hey, I really feel like the Lord's saying go back to school." I had been wanting to go back to school,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but I chose not to because I know how challenging it was because I got married halfway through my undergrad program. I just said I wasn't going to put my wife through that again right after finishing up. And
Mm-hmm.
so this time, though, when she said that, I already knew I wanted to go back for counseling because um, in pastoral ministry, although I had read counseling books, although I had just an idea, I was a naturally more of a caring counseling type person. Even in my childhood, I look back and can see like, oh, I was already doing stuff like this. However, this time I realized I was like, hey, I need some tools in my tool belt that I don't have because I'm facing some things that, and I know some listeners may get offended by this. Please hear me out. There were some things that me just giving you a Bible verse was not going to solve. There needed to be some more clinical processing, talking through the trauma, understanding its impact on you on a biological level, and things that's impacting your brain and neurological pathways, all that.
Mm-hmm.
That scripture, I do believe, speaks in, shapes, and cultivates and it helps to heal. However, there are elements of like, hey, I needed to get some of this understanding of how the body and the mind works. And so I went back to school for that. And so finished school and I stepped back into working at Optimum Joy Clinical Counseling in the West Loop. Love it. And have a heart and passion to just work with people who are going through life, all different backgrounds. I've literally had clients as old as 72, as young as 10, and everything in between. Married, single. I think I've had almost every ethnicity or close to. Like I've had Indian, Asian, African American, Latino, black, black, white. So I've in my time, I've just had the privilege of kind of being in these different spaces, which has been amazing. And so I love what I do.
Awesome. Okay. Back in college,
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about like how did God get a hold of you in college? Because a lot of people go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
College, and so who did he use and what did he use to just?
Here's the irony of just like, so growing up, single parent household, my parents divorced when I was 2. And I'll try and keep it concise because we could do a whole session on that. But there was this void that in coming to college was made known to me. And that was because I didn't grow up with my dad actively in the house, there was something that I was missing. Now, for a black boy who grew up in a single parent household with his mama, which was the norm from where I was from, like most of my friends, I think out of all my friends, I had 2 friends that I knew had both parents living together and married. 2. Everybody else was like, they knew their dad was cool with their dad, but they lived with their mama. And to have a man tell me that at Morehouse, my man Pops tell me this at Morehouse was offensive. Because I'm like, hey, listen, one of the reasons why I got in this school was because of the man my mama made me. The characteristics y'all love about me. And they say, hey, this is why we want you here. That's because my mama, And then I got hit with the hard reality that, I was missing something. And so it was this yearning for a father and male relationship and companionship and community and connection. And so at college, what ended up happening is, as I discover this need and yearning for it, I then attempt to find it in a way that wasn't the healthiest. And so I've never actually said this. I've had it in small settings share this, but so there was a clique I clicked up with. And so I'll be mindful of language, but we had a name of our group, and I'm having apprehension of what I should say and shouldn't say. But basically, the premise was about weed, ass, liquor, and money forever and more. That was the motto. That became what shaped me. And so, although there was some conviction, I'm like, ooh, I've never really been about this life. I didn't drink in high school, didn't smoke in high school. I found these guys who were accepting in that moment, thought they were accepting for me. And we love each other. I love these guys, still do. However, there was a part of me that I recognized I was being performative for them for the acceptance. So they liked me. They didn't say I had to be this person, but like I in yearning for their attention and approval more, I took on a persona. So my nickname was Stu. And so I became the guy who was like, I'll snap at a heartbeat. Hey, Stu. They called me. I would just turn around and start cussing somebody out. Because it was like, that was what I knew. If they called me, that's what it was about.
Yeah.
And so, man, I was doing this, living life. And there was this one pivotal moment where we were actually rapping and freestyling. And I said, hey, I'm going to keep on fornicating because I'm not a Christian. Like, I hadn't thought about it. I'm like, this is just off top of the dome, we rapping. And everybody
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Oh!" And in that moment, it was like the Holy Spirit was just like, "Really?" Because
Mm.
again, I had some concept of God. My grandmother in the church would go to church. Always believed in Jesus, but I don't think I fully understood what that meant. And so in that moment, it was like, "Oh, this is the first time you were wilding, doing your own thing, but this is the first time like this is a statement of rejection or
Mm.
saying I am not a part of this." And at that moment, that's when God began to even more work on my heart. And young lady, KJ, Kim Jemerson, she used to talk to us all the time about the Lord. We would have great conversations. After finally inviting me to church after 30 times, I eventually showed up and gave my life back to the Lord that following week. Or I shouldn't even say gave my life back to the Lord, got saved.
Mm.
I went to visit her that one Sunday, then came back the next Sunday, was like, God, show me something, got saved. And so that began my journey of then now seeing what does it mean to be a man and what does it mean to be a man of God and to love his people. And so that began my journey, man.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm. And
But no,
then,
it's a
I
lot
mean,
there. Yeah.
no, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
In that, like I was checking out your bio, and you had a little bit of exposure. Like you mentioned that there were
Mm-hmm.
2 seasons in life when you had exposure to a counselor, and one of them was in
Yeah.
high school. And so,
Mm-hmm.
kind of backing up, and then what was that? One, I guess, why did you go see a counselor in high school? And then
Yeah.
how did that help?
What's interesting is that even in all that stuff I told you, I say even as early as like junior high, I found myself often playing the role of counselor because people always come to me with their stuff. I remember
Mm.
even in grade school, people would, if something was going on at home, they came to me. High school, elementary school, junior high, all these seasons of life that happened. But in high school, I had a traumatic experience. You having these first moments because I'm trying to figure out. We'll just say I had a traumatic sexual experience,
Mm.
uh, and I didn't know what to do in regards to that.
Mm.
And so I ended up I ended up transitioning to a Catholic high school. And in Catholic high school, you have religion class. So one of my teachers, Miss Schiller, was somebody I just really trusted. And so after class one day, I was just like, "Hey, I need to talk to you about something." And I talked with her, and then she took me to the late Don Luce. He actually just passed away, I think, last year. He was a guidance counselor at Purcell Marion High School, and I went to his office. She introduced us, and we just sat and talked. And so in that process, we talked, and he just listened, and he helped me navigate it. And me and my mom's like my best friend. That's my ace. We always been road dogs, but I hadn't shared with her, and so he actually got me to the point where I was able to then share with her
Mm.
what happened, and that began my journey of like, oh, okay, there's a need to be a voice to listen, a voice of reason, but also ears to listen to help people as they're navigating challenges.
Yeah.
And with what he did for me in my life, I said, hey, I want to continue to do that for others. And so I added that to order what I was doing. And so I
Mm.
actually took on a peer counselor role in my high school,
Wow. Okay.
mentoring the freshmen as they came in as a peer counselor. And so it just that began to, and I just kept doing it. I just kept doing it. I didn't know because funny enough, despite having this disposition and leaning of this way, I didn't really know that. I thought it was in my personality. I didn't associate it with actual gifting in an arena. I was like, oh,
Mm.
this is just how God made me as a person. This is my personality. I love listening to people. I love caring for people and like loving on them well and helping them
Mm-hmm.
navigate things. I just thought that was my personality. But I'd say it was, again, same time around that anniversary time, 2019, where the Lord was like, no, this is also your gift. Like I've uniquely made you in this way where this is something you can do. Because not everybody can sit and listen to somebody for hours.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
Yeah, I love it. I could sit and talk to I sit and talk to strangers all the time. Like, and
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, what's your story? So
Mm.
that's where counseling kind of kicked in, and then it secondly kicked in at a church I was at, First Baptist Church, under the late leadership of Dr. Charles Stanley. I was there, and his name was Mike. Can't not remember his last name. Would love to see him because I'm sure he'd be excited to see where I've come. But he really helped me out during the season in my mid-20s, where I was really trying to figure out life and identity, career,
Mm.
sexual purity, relationship, and he just was there for me and really helped challenge me, but also gave me a space to operate and learn how to forgive myself. He's probably the first person I ever did like the empty chair therapy work with, where it's kind of like
Mm.
talking to your younger self and forgiving yourself, that type of stuff. And
Mm.
man, it was just really transformative in those pivotal moments, and was super thankful for it. And again, that just then further heightened what I was loving to do already. But that was where it served me in those two roles. And I've never been one to shy away from conversation. So it's also helpful to understand, hey, I recognize even at a very young age, being able to talk your stuff out was important.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really, really important. That's one of the things that I had to work through. I haven't been to like official counseling, but there have been different people, in my life who have helped, especially, I guess you talk about the village, the community aspect. There was a season where I guess when I was in grade school up through, actually when I started to go through puberty is when I started to mellow out. Like I was up, I was an angry kid, and didn't know all the reasons why. I still don't know all the reasons why. I
Yeah.
was a really angry kid and rebellious, and so. But there was the youth pastor at the church we were at that particular time. I remember him coming over. Like my parents were just at wits end, and he came over. And he was an intimidating figure too.
Yeah.
I mean, he's 6'6", Navy man, just a presence. But he came over, sat with me and my parents. We talked some. He took me over to the church, and just gave me space. We shot pool. He listened. We talked, and so just helping my parents navigate it, but then also helping me navigate, that tumultuous season as well. Pastor Ed Johnson, for anybody, who
That's
knows
what's
is
up. That's what's up. I
man.
can't imagine you being rebellious and angry.
Man. So, and my parents had good boundaries too. So like I didn't get into a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But it was just, if I had been, it would have been.
Don't worry, we'll have an off the camera conversation because I need to have your insight on some stuff as I try and parent.
Oh man, just to talk about my perspective that might give you some insight into
help me navigate.
Yeah. So I mean that's a good transition too, because one of the things that you are passionate about is helping young men and men in general kind of navigate manhood and figure out what that looks like. And you've had people in your life who have helped guide you in that, but you also have sons who you're raising and helping navigate that, and you got it in your practice as well. And so, I mean, what would be your observation or summary of kind of like the state of young men that and we could keep it tighter. It doesn't have to be nationwide or anything, but like in your sphere, the people that you're seeing and interacting with, kind of what are you seeing?
I think there's something that I think applies to young men, old men. They kind of cross the board in certain elements. Is there's this fight to understand what it means to be a man.
Yeah.
And also, many of us are either recovering from or in the midst of learning what it's living life without tenderness. Because that is something that is robbed from us at a very young age. The idea of being tender. The one is the needing of it to receive tenderness, and secondly is also the giving of it. And then also community, like even as kids, you go back to my college days. I am smart, intelligent. If you would have asked the people who I graduated from high school with, they would have never believed I turned into the guy I turned into in college. They like, Ashanti smoking, drinking, doing this? Like, not Ashanti. Like, no, I never did it. But again, the things you will do for community. And acceptance. And what you find is even now, there's still a major aspect where young adults are really battling some of those same issues. And older men are, I'd say, dealing with the trauma that came from those areas of lack of love, lack of care, lack of community in a healthy way.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I know people might give me some pushback. I try my best. I can be firm, but I even am very intentional about being tender in my disciplining of my sons.
Mm.
Uh, Chip Ingram. I know this is going to be controversial because people have different things on corporal punishment. So I want to let the listener know I'm not going to go into an extensive breakdown of whether it's okay or not. Okay. I'm just saying, if you're going to do it, Chip Ingram had given this comment, hey, if you're going to spank, he's a pastor. I used to attend his church for a period as well, who I really respect. He had said, hey, like, in this write-up, he said, hey, like, if you're going to discipline and there's spanking involved, be sure to use something else other than your physical hand, because you don't want your hand of caressing love and gentleness and, hey, I love you, the hand that says I love you and grabs you and hugs you, to be the same one that is executing punishment in a certain way. And so I want to also be sensitive. This is my nature, to those who are listening. In no way am I supportive of abuse. I don't believe in the violent actions that can come sometimes, because I do believe some people don't need to actually give spankings, because I don't think they have the temperament in order to do that. But again, I learned a lesson from him. So in that, I stopped. I didn't use my hand and didn't do it for a long period of time, as far as even spanking, because I do think I didn't grow up with a lot of spankings. But anyway, but in that, it also taught me, it was like, hey, also be like, hey, if you're disciplined, if you get a spank, then it's like, hey, also, I want to comfort you afterwards and say, hey, I'm going to explain to you why you got the discipline. Here's why you got this result. Afterwards, I just want you to know I still love you. I'm still here. And you'd be surprised. There even have been times where I've not had any form of spanking of any kind, where I've literally, in those moments, this is where that other tender side comes in, where it's like, hey, I get down on my son's level after they've been disobedient or done something they shouldn't have. And I don't, with an angry face or nothing, I will literally cup their face with a gentle touch and say, hey, son, gentle voice, like, hey, like, why'd you do that? Because what it does is it allows them to try and somewhat calm down, but also it says, hey, you're safe. And I'm not going to penalize you afterwards. I'm just like, hey, let's talk through this real quick.
Yeah.
And that type of tenderness, like I said, we're often robbed of. You know, I grew up in a generation like, man, you might get. Now, my mama didn't do this, but I have friends. Like, listen, I had one of my mans. We were in his crib. I'll never forget. Like, his mom. Now he kind of does. Well, she stole off on him. Like, we were playing video games. He got off at the lip, and she was like, pop, 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 pop. I was like, oh, like in the middle of the game, and I kind of had to calm her down, separate them. But again, we go over the
even there, you were being the mediator.
Yeah, it was. You know, there's certain elements where things happen. It's like, man, like even today, like I've seen people, man, cuss their kids out, man, and break my heart. And I've had times where I've been able to intervene, other times where I've not been able to intervene, because I knew if I intervened, they're more than likely, because these were strangers, it would escalate. Yep. And I was like, well, then that even makes it harder for the child, because, you know, now we got escalation, and am I fighting their parent? Or the parent packing, and now somebody, you know, it's a whole kind of plethora of things that could come out. But just that element of learning how to be tender with our kids. Like, man, I hug my boys a lot. I tell my boys I love them every day. There's not a day where they don't hear me say I love them multiple times. I hug my boys regularly. I'll just randomly grab them and hold them. My boys sometimes will still sit in my lap. You know what I'm saying? We sitting on the couch watching the show. I'll be like, hey, come here. I'm going to make y'all come sit next to me and put my arm around both of y'all. And that's so pivotal, because, listen, and I think you can relate to this, Bryan. It's like, man, being a man is so hard. And having to then stand in the discipline and the responsibilities of manhood, man, sometimes you just need a space where you can kind of not be the supportive, strong role, and you can just kind of. And I've been intentional. Like I want my kids to feel that now and until I leave this earth.
Mm.
That they know, like, hey, when they come to pops, yeah, he's gonna discipline, yeah, he's gonna care, but my dad loves me. There's always a safe landing space here. Because
Right.
here's the downside. The assumption is that safe landing space can only be with mom.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. That hits a little bit.
Yeah, because it becomes a default. Oh, that's where mom. That's where you go to the safe landing spot for
Yeah.
mom. That's what mom's for. It's like, nah, like dad needs to be like, bro, listen to me.
Yeah.
I had a situation where so one of part of my story is journey is that we lost our daughter in a miscarriage, and
Mm.
so I remember it was last year. It was a Sunday. My pastor was preaching. Who's one of my homies? We went to school with each other,
Mm-hmm.
um, and he had shared about his loss of a child.
Mm-hmm.
And after the service, like never before, I had never had this moment. I literally went up to talk to him and just wept.
Mm.
I didn't have words to say. I got like maybe 5 words out so he knew what the context was. And then I just sobbed. And it wasn't a sob where it's like, I don't got to stay strong. Like I literally fell on his shoulders and sobbed.
Mm.
And what I'm saying is like, man, we need those spaces. But most of
Yeah.
us either have been taught we're not, oh, you ain't no man, don't be no punk. Or
Right.
we use the other word that's not so pleasant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And man, we just need spaces like that where we
Yeah.
can be broken, where we can be vulnerable, where we say, hey, I don't have it all together.
Yeah.
And to me, that is the area that, again, is not isolated to adulthood, but that's something that you need from childhood all the way through life.
Yeah.
And having other men to be that for you is quite crucial. And as I look back at now, even in this conversation, I'm recognizing like, hey, that's what I didn't know that, but that's what I was always trying to be for my friends, my guys, like my homies and
Mm-hmm.
homegirls, but especially my homeboys. Like, hey, and they will always feel safe. Like I've had so many of my male friends who would cry in front of me, who I know they wouldn't cry in front of anybody else. That's what I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about from high school, elementary school, college, like because it was like that was important to me. Because even though I didn't know cognitively the need for it, there was something inside of me that knew like, hey, we need this space.
Yeah. No,
I feel
that
like we kind
hits.
of went around the globe, so my bad.
No, that's okay. That's okay. It
Yeah.
actually brings to mind, I mean, in some examples too, because I think part of us talking about manhood is, you know, we can talk about it theoretically and kind of
Mm-hmm.
what you see from a clinical perspective too, but then just the real life examples of, okay, um, the example with you and, you know, your pastor friend or like my wife and I mean, you know this already too, like our oldest, Gabriella, we lost to miscarriage as well.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, um, it was good to have a safe space. Like, I am, the funny thing is that for most of our marriage, I've been the more emotional of the two out of me and my wife.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that is because like she had a lot of situations in the past that just trained her, for better or for worse, to lock it up, lock the emotions down,
Mm-hmm.
so I can be a
Mm-hmm.
rock. But with situations like that, that kind of started to break things open.
Mm-hmm.
But even for me, it was like I think I cried in front of my parents because they knew too. My oldest brother, they lost to stillbirth, you know, and so
Mm-hmm.
they knew. And you find out how frequent it is, but it's also one of those things where you're like, still, you're like,
Yeah.
people don't talk about it, especially with guys.
Nobody.
The guys almost
Nobody.
never talk about it. And one thing that really stood out to me, well, there were some instances where I did talk about it. Like my wife and I were leaders in the college group at Moody Church during that time, and there were a few times where I taught,
Mm.
and you know, it came up, but I allowed myself. I didn't like, you know, ugly cry in front of the college group, but I allowed the Lord to use that
Mm-hmm.
situation to help instruct. Because again, I knew I was like, here's a lot of young men and young women who, no doubt, most of them come from homes where like you just don't talk about this type of thing or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, well, I went through this, but now here's an opportunity for me to model that it's okay to
Mm-hmm.
talk about this in public, to shed some tears in public, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and to grieve in a way in public, and it also allows other people to learn how to grieve with you and kind of navigate the space with you. And then something that really stood out to me during that time is that when my wife and I got married, it was the first time I experienced 4 grandparents because she still had all hers at that time. My dad's parents passed before he was even married, and my grandfather on my mom's side passed when I was like 7 or 8. So not many memories.
Yeah.
So one grandma for the most of my life. So I was like, oh, this is what it's like to have 4 grandparents. Now there's only one on my wife's side now as well, but her grandfather on her mom's side. And we never really talked on the phone, but he called me after we lost Gabriella just to check in. Wow. He was like, and because they have 6 kids, they fostered a lot. They may have had a miscarriage in there as well. But he was like, I'm just calling to check on you and see how you're doing. Because, when a couple loses a baby, he's like, people forget about the husband. So like, I'm here to check in on you. And I was just like, wow, okay. Like, that just, to have something like that. And of course, my dad was there too, but to have someone who we didn't talk much. We saw them once or twice a year. And for him to just take the time out to just call and be like, how are you doing?
How you doing? Yeah. And it's interesting because that is an area, I know this wasn't on topic for today, but that's an area where I think the ball is dropped so often is no one thinks about the husband. And quite frankly, sometimes the husband doesn't even think about himself.
Because we're told not to. We're taught.
But you're also in caretaker protective mode. You're like, hey, I got to make sure she's okay.
Yeah, the physical trauma, the emotional trauma. Like you didn't have somebody growing inside you. So there's just a very different. But it doesn't mean you don't experience a loss as well. Not at all.
And that's one of the reasons why I think similar to you. That's why even in my introductions, wherever people read my bio, she's in it. So it's never like, oh, the father of 2 kids. No. I have 3 children, one of which I just did not have the pleasure of fathering as long as I would have liked to.
Exactly.
But I have 3 children. And so my sons know, like, hey, it was 3 of y'all. And so I think it's important because for me, it was like not acknowledging that almost it was like a dismissive of life, like it didn't happen. I was like, this happened. It hurts, but that was my baby. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
And what we have modeled before us helps too. Like, because my parents, especially my mom, still like, we grew up like, yes, Theodore's your oldest, yes, we have 6 kids, 5 living. Like it was just always a regular, and so just always remembering Theodore, and it was like, okay. Yeah. So when we lost Gabriella, it was like, it's okay. And it weirded some people out sometimes. And I'm like, they're like, how many kids you got? I was like, oh, we have, our oldest is with the Lord. We have 2 here. And
everybody's always like, oh, I'm so sorry. And
I'm just, yeah.
and like for me, and for anybody listening, just so you know, when we say those things, we don't need you to comfort us. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, like we good. Like they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I had no. It's okay. Like I'm not saying that for you to then comfort me,
get some sympathy or something.
It's like, nah, I'm just telling you what it is. Like, hey, I've been blessed with 3. One's with the Lord.
Yeah.
And so, I can relate to that so well.
What we talked a little bit about this off camera, but so being a man in today's society, I mean, there's been a definite cultural shift.
Yeah.
Over the last generation. I know it's been longer than that.
Of course.
You get back to the feminist movement and stuff like that, and its various phases and different transitions. But like how, again, my son is young, and so yours are older. How are you thinking through equipping them to be men in this culture, in this society? What is that looking like? And
I think that idea of tenderness is one of them. It's like, hey, tenderness is actually a part of being masculine. I don't want them to ever associate that, oh, being tender is like somehow unmasculine. Teaching them even high levels of empathy and care, which again is attached to tenderness, is very much all encompassing.
Kind of high emotional
Yeah,
intelligence.
high
Yeah,
emotional
connected.
intelligence, working through it. And then trying to, and sometimes this can be an Achilles heel, trying my best to care for them in ways that I wish I had my father in my life.
Mm.
My dad, love him, and he's no longer with us. Uh, However, we ended on good terms. Like when he left the earth, there was no beef. We've been good for well over a decade or two.
Awesome.
And so trying to be that. And so always trying my best to be present, creating tons of memory, and then talking. So men, we shut down. Typically, again, I'm making generalizations. Typically, a lot of times we
Right.
shut down. I mean, one of the reasons I went into therapy is to be a place for men to come and finally start to explore themselves. And I
Mm.
can't tell you how many men who I have as clients who have shared like, hey, uh, one of the reasons for coming is like, hey, I know I need something, but I didn't know what it was,
Mm.
but I know I needed to talk. And usually the early part of our process is me helping them understand like, hey, you can talk to me here.
Mm-hmm.
And it ends up coming, and that's why I love it. You have those moments where it's like, oh, I'm actually able to now share something that was very hard for me in my life and acknowledge that emotion and the pain attached to it. And
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes that shows up in tears, sometimes that shows up in anger.
Mm.
Uh, but it's a beauty of being able to help them see and learn and explore and then begin the healing process in that area. So for my kids, trying to involve that actively and making them emotionally intelligent. This is one thing that I think people don't recognize because we're talking from a parental space. Learning
Mm-hmm.
to say I'm sorry,
Yeah.
apologizing, like, hey, dad messed up, and I need to apologize to you for how I reacted. And
Mm-hmm.
then saying, hey, will you accept my apology? See, it's a
Mm-hmm.
posture of humility and acknowledging my wrong. Listen, there have been times I have dropped the ball as a parent,
Yeah.
and I don't knowingly avoid that, dealing with that. Like I try and be on it as soon as it happens or within at least an hour of it happening. Like as soon as I kind of catch that I did something wrong, I
Mm-hmm.
apologize. And here's the thing, that then teaches them as men that, hey, you're not always right. And then when you're not right, own the mistake you made.
Yep.
Don't posture yourself like, well, if you wouldn't have said this, then I wouldn't have done that. No. If I responded unhealthily to my child, regardless of what they did, I should not have responded that way.
Yeah.
In that moment, I'm just going to apologize for how I responded. Then we can address what they were doing later. But I don't want, because then what happens is you apologize and say, but the reason why I did is this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of
You
like,
invalidate the apology.
invalidated. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I just apologize. And so what that then allows them to do, allows them to learn these things. Because again, more is caught than taught. So you have to
Yeah.
model this by how you live. Trying to
Yeah.
teach them tenderness towards their mom. So being tender towards their mom. My children, uh, I very much, this is going to be maybe extreme for some people, but I very much say times where like my sons have maybe stepped outside of themselves in tone. I've
Mm-hmm.
turned to them and said, hey, listen, let me talk to you. You're not going to talk to my wife like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say talk to your mama like that. No, I need them to understand the distinction of saying like, no, I'm saying you can't talk to my wife like that because there's a breach now that's taking place, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to allow you to dishonor my wife, who is your
my
mother.
dad, my dad had some of them conversations with me and my brothers for sure.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
your mama, but this is my wife,
Yeah.
and so I need you to understand. Like, I
Yeah.
can't let you disrespect my wife, and all this is, And so, having those types of things are very key, and then constantly learning. So, speaking of
Mm-hmm.
your father, I'm learning from him. I learn from other men. I'm asking questions. I learn from my homies back home in Atlanta, my squad back there, and because they're further along in the father game than I are, and we just continue to learn from each other. I'm not regularly, but I try my best to read
Mm-hmm.
and read stuff on that.
Yeah.
Brother mine who we haven't talked to sometimes, but I know and have a huge amount of respect for, Jason Wilson, who's been doing a lot of work in regards to men. He's written every Cry Like a Man, The
Mm-hmm.
Man for the Moment, Battle Cry. He oversees this organization in Detroit called the Cave of Adullam. And so like even though I haven't seen him in like 15 years, but just me even pulling from his stuff as I'm reading his books and learning stuff from him that I didn't know. about him, and just learning from his role as a father, looking at other men and saying, hey, I'm a question asker. So I'll ask dudes like, hey, just like I asked you earlier, I was like, hey, I'm going to have to hit you up on some of this father because I got to ask you because I have a son whose temperament can be a little more anger,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm like, hey, I need to holler at you so that can then help me learn how to love him better and to
Mm-hmm.
father him in a healthier way so that I can create space for him. Because again, I'm not necessarily familiar with that. And
Yeah.
so that's just being in a constant space of willingness to learn, apologize, and then implement and in action. And I spend time. Like I spend time with my kids. I joke with my kids because sometimes they'll complain about, oh, we didn't get to do this with you. I'm like, bro, y'all done had more time with me than I done had with my daddy in my lifetime. So I'm like, hey, like, don't complain about we ain't get to do this weekend, bro. But again, I have to remember, like, oh, but they don't know what it's like to live
Right.
at a deficit, and they shouldn't.
Right.
And so I just keep trying my best, and at times I have to work on that because sometimes I try and do too much because I'm trying to be everything that I wish I had, but not giving
Mm-hmm.
myself the ability to recognize my own limitations.
Yep.
But really, and then having real conversations with them. So one of the things I'm working on now, I'm actively in preparation to talk about sex.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I got to talk to them about it before the world does. And when I say world, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily talking even spiritually. I'm just like before the outside people outside of our household start shaping them how they see sexuality, how they see
Yep.
sex. Like I need to have that conversation, right? Because
Yep.
listen, I actually had a conversation with one of my friends. I was like, man, the amount of information I learned about sex that came from my peers at the ages of 11 through 13. I'm grown now, so it's like we ain't know nothing. And why in my mind was I even listening to probably these fictitious stories that these 11 and 13-year-old boys were
Exploits.
telling me of I'm like, bro, I'm like, yeah, nah. I got to
Yeah.
get to my boys before they get that story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, that's helpful.
Mm-hmm.
It brings to mind because I've been having some of those conversations with my kids recently too, especially about apologizing, and it's a good reminder for me too because they're, as you know, you have kids, and then you see how you were parented through a very different lens once you start
Mm-hmm.
parenting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things where you're like, okay, this makes sense now. I understand why they did this. And then there's other stuff where you're like, I understand why they did that as well. I still don't agree with it, but I understand it. And like, you're gracious towards it. Like,
Yeah.
but one of the things that we got was, just how to apologize. And we're still sorting it out. You got the 5 and 7-year-old and stuff, but just teaching them like, okay, when you apologize, this is how you apologize. Make sure you actually say what you did, acknowledge it,
Yeah.
and then ask for forgiveness. But then something else that we're working on is you have to allow the other person space to decide to forgive you. You can't say, hey, I apologize for it, and be like, well, why aren't you forgiving me right now? You're like, that's not up to you. The only part you can do is apologize and then work on not doing it again. It's the other person's responsibility to work on forgiving you.
And then one of the catches you have to catch yourself as a parent, well, at least I know I had to catch myself, is letting the person be able to say, hey, you know what, I hear you, but right now I don't forgive you yet.
Yeah.
And because as a parent, you're like, hold on, you need to accept that.
You should do it now.
And it's like, no. And I'm like, hey, that's fair. He's not saying that he won't. He's just saying in this moment he needs a minute. And I have to let you know that I know that sucks, but that's okay. And I need to let you know that that's okay for you too. My only caveat is like, let's try and just talk through it. Not now, but later, and see if we can get to another space so that we don't just stay in this posture, but it's okay. And creating that area of growth. One of the things I'd say as a father I've learned is like, if you did it publicly, you apologize publicly too. Like if I respond in an unhealthy way in front of say my wife and my other son, then hey, I'm going to not let me pull you upstairs and apologize in private. Like, no, I'm gonna apologize
That's when
to
the
you
humility comes in, man.
in front of them. Man, like you got to eat it. Like, and my hope is that like, hey, they'll be able to say, hey, like, okay, yeah, this is painful, but you know what? I saw my daddy do it. Like, I don't like it, but I saw my dad do it, so I can't say like, oh, that ain't what. Like, nah, I saw a man do that, and Yeah, man. I'd say one of the things that I just want to kind of highlight in regards to, because I know we're talking about fathering, parenting, but also manhood.
Yeah.
There was an article written. I cannot think of the name of the article. I'll have to find it for you. But it was written probably about 2 to 3 years ago,
Okay.
and it was speaking about the idea of the uh, like major threats to men's health.
Mm.
It's actually one of like it's not high blood pressure. It's not one of the top new things that is a major like health issue
Hmm.
is isolation,
Yeah.
especially post COVID. Is like this isolation, and so I'm finding men. I don't care if you're white, black, Latino, Asian, whatever you are, your demographic. There's this common thread and line running through that everybody is in search of friendship and relational intimacy. And there is there's a project that I have that I did not get to finish. That and when I have time, there's some research I want to do, basically of talking about the benefits and needs of healthy, emotionally intimate relationships with men and other men of a non-sexual
Mm.
nature.
Hmm.
So we're talking about that actual deep intimate relationship with a man. If we look biblically, something like Jonathan and David, that
Right.
type of brotherhood. But just that idea of saying, hey, well, we can be emotionally vulnerable with each other. We can be there for each other to uphold, encourage, and challenge each other. And the need for that, I think there's a great need for men for touch that we don't honor, uh, to be held. Hey, I know. Like,
uh,
listen. So my pops is, of course, gone now, and I can't tell you the times, and we don't have a whole bunch of moments where me and him have had this, but I can't tell you the times and moments where I'm just like, man, if I could just hug my dad right now.
mm,
And there are times where, like I said, I got these group of my guys. They've been with me since I was 19, so we know
mm,
everything about each other. By God's grace, all of us are walking with the Lord. All of us are taking care of our families, husbands, fathers, and I can't tell you how many times where I've literally broke down with them in tears,
mm.
and they've held me. And man, listen, I know we live in a hyper sexualized generation where everything's about sexuality as far as hetero, homo, all the LGBTQ plus. Like where I'm saying like remove sexual orientation and sexual desire as far as like sex. Remove all that. There is this need still though, just as men to sometimes need the comfort of another man to say it's okay.
Mm. Yeah,
And it
it's
can be
funny.
uncomfortable. Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned right before you mentioned that. What came to my mind was the fact that, um, like I have three younger brothers
Mm-hmm.
and um, my dad, and my dad is very much. And actually, I have to ask him this. I don't know if he had this type of relationship with his dad. His dad worked a lot and was a lot older, and so
Mm-hmm.
I'd be surprised if they had this type of relationship. But his, some people talk about love languages, and so one of his
Mm-hmm.
is physical touch. And I know that he would like to hug me more. Or there are times where I'll be like on a computer and he'd come up and do the shoulders, like how
Yeah.
you doing and stuff like that, and I'll just be like,
You're like,
But the irony is that in those settings I feel awkward.
mm-hmm.
It's uncomfortable, but I could be wrapped up with a dude grappling for hours and be
Right,
totally okay.
right.
Totally okay.
Okay. See, I don't. Okay, okay. I'm glad you said that. See, because okay, I don't have the research to prove this. Okay, I want to say this out there. I don't have the research to
So
prove
yeah,
this,
in combat I'm good.
but I have a theory that I think that is one of the reasons why we're so drawn to sports as men,
Mm,
because that is a way where we're actually able to get the masculine touch in a way that is considered appropriate. There are
interesting.
times where I literally like, man, I'm ready to go hoop. I need to bang. Why? I'm saying I literally need to be kind of. pushing and rubbing
Physical
against
tussle
another
with
man,
somebody.
tussle with
Yeah,
somebody for a
yeah.
rebound. Like if we break it down, like what possibly fun is that?
What is that fulfilling?
What is that for? But I'm like, that's where
Yeah.
it's like that. But again, I say that's for later years. I really want to do research. Like, listen, I share that with. So me and my guys, we got a text thread of my whole crew, like 13, 14 of us. And I remember in a conversation, I dropped that in. I was like, yo, I think this is, and guys are like, nah, man, I don't know. But I'm like, hey, I really think it's a thing. Like we need touch, and that's an area we don't honor. And yeah, we love a touch of a woman, a caress of a woman. That's great. But there is literally, and again, non-sexual way in which an embrace of a man, like think about it. When we walk up and dap and embrace, why do we do that? Why is
Right.
that bringing together in there's something about that embrace that we love and need.
Yeah.
But again, we're not taught that it's okay. We're not said that like it's like no. It's always said in a negative connotation. Brian, I'm gonna confess something, man. I kiss my boys every day. I kiss them on the forehead. I might kiss them on the cheek. I'm like, hey, I've been kissing my sons since they was because I'm like, hey, I don't ever want you to feel like you can't have this affection from me.
Yeah.
I want you
Yeah. I
to
kiss
know,
my
like,
son
yeah,
still
we
too.
we rough, but I say it's for me because my son's 11,
Right. Yeah. He's 11. Mine's a lot younger.
and my other
Oddly enough,
one,
my daughter right now is like, I don't want your kisses. I just want a
yeah,
hug. I'm like, all right.
and my other one's 9 or going on nine
Yeah.
in 2 weeks, and so it's like, but it's still like, hey,
Yeah.
and I believe when they 35, 40, hey, I'm gonna still give my son a kiss. If
Yeah.
I got to fight you for it, like, hey, man, listen, I'm your daddy, you my
We
boy,
used to do that with my dad. I don't remember when it stopped. I
yeah,
don't remember when it stopped. It
yeah.
was, I think it was after, I mean, it was probably in high school or maybe early adulthood. There's still the hugs for
Uh
sure,
huh.
you know.
And I'm
But
not
yeah, I
saying it's
think
going to be
that
all the time, but I'm saying there's something about that connection and relationship. And
absolutely.
if I was going to say one thing from a clinical perspective for men, is like you have to fight for it. I will admit, in adulthood, building close bonds with adult men is challenging because you've got work, you've got family responsibilities, you've got stressors, you've got the extracurricular activities, and it becomes challenging. However, I say it's worth fighting for,
Yeah.
but it loses what I call the sexiness of it. When I say that, I mean this idea we like, oh, we just kind of get to do stuff when we want and figure it out like we're in our 20s. Like, nah, you got to schedule. So you might have to say, hey, we got to schedule this out. So is it
Yeah.
every third Saturday we get together for a 2 hour window? You might not have like we did in our 20s where we go kick it for the whole day. You might have to say, hey, listen, we gonna be able to carve out an hour and 45 minutes. But we
Yep.
know every third Saturday for this time for an hour and 45 minutes, we getting together and we
Yeah.
gonna connect. And it may not be 5, 6, 10 people. It may be one or three. And then it's learning
That's
to
what I'm praying
just,
for right now, man.
yeah,
My
embrace it.
goodness.
And it's just challenging, but it requires,
Yeah.
and then here's the thing, and I think this is what the most important part, it requires mutual ownership and responsibility.
Yep.
Because I'm the organizer. And I'll just confess, like it wears on me. But
Yeah.
the challenge I ran into was like, because everybody's like, oh, you plan stuff. They're like, oh man, we so glad you got us together. I'm like, well, I want y'all to do it sometimes. Like, I can't just bring
Right.
me.
Right.
But then I had to weigh the option. I said, is it more important for somebody else to do it and them not do it and then me not get my need met, or do I just suck it up, recognize this is my role? I have this need. They have this need. I'm the only one who's willing to kind of organize, and I just organize it. Ultimately, I think at the core of it is this idea, though, is man, we need each other.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I think we assume like, oh, our wives need their girlfriends and our kids need their friends. We as long as we got whatever inanimate object or sports or something or extracurricular, as long as we got that, we're good. And I think you should have your hobbies. I think you should have your other things that you're involved in. But one of those things needs to be a relationship with other men.
Yeah.
And let me clarify what that means. Healthy relationship.
Right.
Defining healthy relationship as this idea, people that I'm authentic with, who will challenge me when I'm out of order, and who will embrace me in my brokenness, and who we can be reciprocal with that relationship.
Mm.
Because you will find men who hang out weekly at bars, whatever, doing their thing at the house, football games, but still know nothing about each other. They don't know their pains. They don't know what the person is going through. So we're not talking about superficial relationship. We're talking about this deep level of intimacy where you're vulnerable and transparent with each other in a way that is scary, but is one of the great gifts you could ever have.
Yeah, that's a good place to end it. And I'll definitely
Yeah.
summarize those pieces as well for folks
Hmm.
and include those in the show notes. Man,
Yeah.
Ashanti, greatly appreciate it. It's been a good talk. We definitely got to
Yeah, man. I
connect
feel like we
offline
could talk
too.
for days. Yeah.
Yeah, man,
Offline. Yeah.
absolutely.
So maybe
Um,
that's the challenge we need to be for each other. We got to challenge like, hey, we got to commit to being our community
there we go.
and make it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
Somebody watching like they need to make sure they do it themselves. Like, hey,
exactly.
let's
Practice
figure
what
out
we
a
preach.
practice what we preach. I'm trying, man. I'm trying, man. Well, last time we tried to do it, my whole car broke.
Yeah, that was outside.
The day before, the day of, I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, this is really happening.
Hmm.
Got on the road. I think I made it like a mile before it stopped.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, but no, we're gonna make it happen. But man, I'm proud of you. Excited about your platform. I recognize that some people may have questions. If people have some feedback, because I got a feeling somebody might say something. I think they're gonna be positive, but there might be somebody about that the spanking thing might, email me. We can flush it out together. It's all good.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll have a way for you to contact
Yeah.
Ashanti if you want
Yeah.
to chat with him more, learn more about Optimum Joy, and, you know,
Hmm.
maybe sit down and talk with him. And then I know
Yeah.
he's got some other stuff in the works, but we'll announce that when it's ready.
Yeah.
He's got a nonprofit that he's
We're
working
working
on and
on
stuff
it.
as well. So,
Yeah, because I'm actually trying to create a space that I had these things that I were doing for gathering for men to basically
mhm.
come and almost do group therapy in a non-traditional way. We
Yeah.
just had an opportunity to come and kind of vent, process, and not be coached by other people there, but just kind of
Mm.
be encouraged, be heard, and just have a space to kind of release. And I'm working on reintegrating that into my world. And so as that comes together, I'll be able to share that with you to share with your people
Awesome.
to even have a space for that because we need it. We need the space.
Agreed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool, man. All right. Until next
All right,
time.
man.
Well,
Until
not,
next time.
yeah. I
Well,
will be
yeah,
in touch. I will be in
we'll be in
touch.
touch.
All
Until
right,
next
bro.
time regarding this space.
Yeah, yeah, man. Cool.
All right.
Appreciate it.